and on Main Street here in Milford. Rentschler Biopharma, sponsor of our broadcast booth. Rentschler Biopharma transforms innovative ideas into life-saving biopharmaceuticals. Rentschler Biopharma, reliability you can trust. And Unibank, big bank know-how, community bank attitude, serving the Milford community at their local branch on Prospect Street inside the Shaw's Plaza.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome inside the gymnasium here at Milford High School, as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics, presented Trail Flatbread Company. Rail Trail Flatbread Company, a casual American dining experience. They specialize in an all-scratch-made kitchen featuring wood-fired flatbreads. It's an inviting atmosphere for the whole family to enjoy. You can check them out over in Hudson or right here on Main Street in Milford. Milford TV Executive Director Tim Coet, so happy to be here with you on the call on our final regular season coverage of this Milford boys volleyball team. And tonight they take on a non-conference rival in the Barnstable Red Hawks. A little Scarlet Hawks versus Red Hawks matchup for you tonight that we bring to you live from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth. Rentschler Biopharma is a global contract development and manufacturing organization. They specialize in biopharmaceuticals and advanced therapies. Rentschler Biopharma, reliability you can trust. Milford comes into the matchup having already secured their second straight Hockomock League regular season title. They are in first place with an overall record of 11-5. Barnstable, meanwhile, in first place in the Southern Alliance. They are 15-1 overall on the season. So two talented teams on the court here tonight. Should be a competitive matchup, as Milford will serve first. It is Kawa Maforte ready to release the first serve of the game on this Coaches versus Cancer night. The final regular season home game for the Scarlet Hawks. And the opening point and tonight's matchup goes to Barnstable. This is the first regular season meeting between these two schools, at least at any point in recent memory. We looked back as far as our records could take us, back to the 2010 season, and there were no Milford versus Barnstable boys volleyball matchups to be found. So not a lot of familiarity between these teams. Milford has matched up with one of Barnstable's league rivals, Greater New Bedford, in recent seasons, but first meeting between these two teams, so we'll see what's in store. Barnstable dropping that in for their second point as they take a 2-1 lead here in the early going. Serving now for Barnstable, João Pedro Andrade. As Milford sends the return too long. A little bit of a weak lobby for a deflection call there, but a no-go from the officials. Milford bench trying to bring some early energy, with Barnstable leading early 3-1 as that serve from Andrade goes out of play. Close here through the early points, as now we'll get the service from Gus Da Silva. We did not see many of the Milford starters in the last game we covered against King Philip, as Milford gets a nice rejection at the peak of the net, courtesy of Sam Abreu. Milford allowed a lot of their bench players to get some major time on the court in that matchup against KP. So I don't believe saw Gus Da Silva at all on the court that game. Eston LeBron, Jude Moffitt, many of the other typical starters as well. Hard shot to the back row. Da Silva was able to handle it, and then a good return from Abreu. Diving play on the other side for Brady Condell. Now set up for Da Silva, and he does indeed get the deflection this time. Beg your pardon, it was Abreu with the kill. Milford with good energy on these last couple of rallies. They take a 4-3 lead. Just settling into this first set action. We did get this match started about 15 minutes before the scheduled start time. Soft return comes over the middle. Milford couldn't react. Leon Brooks, the sophomore, changing up the tempo, caught Milford by surprise. An easy point. Now a nice dig by Moffitt. Mikey Moreira on the outside. It's punched straight up in the air. Again by Condell. And now LeBron again pushes to Moreira. He gets the deflection. Milford will get the side out. Guy D'Arujo onto the court now for Milford, leading 5-4. Moffett will serve. Hard return from the outside, and the kill for Ian Fernandez, the sophomore, for the Red Hawks. And after getting the kill, he'll take over on serve with it tied up now at 5-all. Another chance for Moreira. The block on the Barnstable side, but it goes out of play. Abreu on serve. Sends it into the net. The head coach of the Barnstable Red Hawks is Mary Lou Robles, assisted by Peter Amaral, JV head coach Nikki Shea. Did not appear that there was a freshman matchup between these two teams earlier this afternoon. Just the JV squads were playing when we first arrived for setup, and it ended up being a pretty swift JV match. Milford took it in straight sets, which led to the expedited start time here for the varsity action. Now 7-6 Milford, with Moreira serving sky-high toss. Barnstable with the answer. Again, Milford with a little bit of a late reaction that cost them. Serve now on the Barnstable side from Nicholas Da Silva. LeBron with a quick flip. Both teams with some fast returns right at the net. LeBron now will set it for Abreu, and a good play on the back row on the Barnstable side for Ian Fernandez, but it drops down out of play for a Milford point. Continuing to hover around a 1-point lead. Back to Maforte on serve. On the outside now, quick hands for Abreu, but that ball carried and ends up carrying out beyond the far sideline. Start to look into how things have gone now in this month of May for Milford. Last time we covered the team in action was at the tail end of April in that matchup against KP. Serve now from Brady Condell. Da Silva with a hard return on the outside. Executed well, as Milford will again swing in front by a point. LeBron now serving. Push to the Barnstable libero, and then hard return that was sent right back on one touch by Moreira, and a little bit of execution issues at the net front for the Red Hawks as they run out of touches. Milford will take a 2-point lead now. LeBron now back to Abreu, gets the deflection off the front row. Milford with a little bit of momentum now on top, 11-8. LeBron with the best service game thus far. And pushed all the way to the net, and too easy for Milford to spike it down. I believe, again, that was Gus Da Silva getting it done for Milford. Milford creating a little bit of separation now on the scoreboard. LeBron a soft serve this time, and it cannot be returned. Barnstable calling the timeout. 4-0 run for Milford leading into this first timeout of the match. So Milford 11-5 overall on the season. They're perfect against Hockomock League teams. 6-0 is their league record. Since that victory against King Philip that we covered back on the 27th, Milford has been in a good stretch. They have won 5 out of their last 6 matches. Their only loss in that stretch came back on May the 5th in a matchup here at home against a team that, again, we've talked about many times over the last few years, that's become a very strong non-conference rival for Milford and Wayland. And once again, a 5-set match, which is something we have seen before between those two teams, and unfortunately Milford coming up just short. But other than that, wins against Boston Latin Academy on the road, at home against Newton North, on the road against Cambridge Ringen Latin, on the road against Attleboro, and most recently a 3-set sweep just 2 days ago against their league rival Taunton Tigers. Season series sweep for Milford against the Tigers this year as the Hawks reach under the net to try to make the play there. So the run ends after the timeout. So Milford actually shared the Kelly Rex, or the Hockomock League title last season in the first official season of Hockomock boys volleyball play. They had shared it with the Tigers, but winning it outright this season. (14-9) now the lead for Milford as they get a quick side out. Serve now for Gusta Silva. We want to welcome all of our viewers checking out the coverage tonight. We're live across our Milford TV platforms, locally in Milford on our educational channel and Verizon High Definition channel, and streaming anywhere, anytime on our YouTube channel. (15-9) now. De Silva releases another serve, this time to the near sideline and out. Service error. Serve now for Mateus Alvarenga, as Milford will claim the point, and infraction up at the net for the Red Hawks. Jude Moffitt now serving for the Scarlet Hawks. Pushed across over the middle by Brady Condell. Moffitt will set it up for Abreu, who gets stuffed. Nice play by LeBron to keep it alive. Now Moreira with the soft lob, and that gets it done. The play by LeBron, key in keeping that rally going for Milford, leading to the kill for Mikey Moreira. And Milford now opening up a 7-point advantage. An 8-2 run for the Scarlet Hawks, now 8-3 with that service error. The Red Hawks operating out of the Southern Alliance, which is just a 3-team league that consists of Barnstable, Greater New Bedford, Voc-Tech, and my high school alma mater, Dighton Rehoboth. (18-11) now. Milford continuing to stay in front. Abreu now serving. Unreturnable. Milford 6 points away. Barnstable looking a little frustrated on their side of the floor. Set up on the near side for Kundell, who sends it far out of play. Abreu ready to continue. Serve met by Fernandez. And drop down with the fingertips by Kundell. Gets the Red Hawks a badly needed side out. The serve now from Enzo Santos, the libero. Rujo with the return. Now on the back row. A swing and a miss for Gus Da Silva, and fortuitous as that ball ended up going out of play. All smiles for Gus as he gets back to his feet, never so happy to not make contact. (21-12) as Morera's service game is short-lived. Again, using that very high toss on serve, higher than usual it seems. Lead for Milford is 8. As LeBron sets it up over the middle for DeRujo. Now Kundell, quick reflexes. Milford had just Morera deep, he couldn't get there. And so a couple of points back now for the Red Hawks to make it 21-14. Nicholas Da Silva with the serve. LeBron over the middle and pulverized by Gus Da Silva. No chance. Forte back on the floor on serve. Gus Pereira also into the game up front. Nicely dug out by Santos on the Barnstable side, and then a return down the line to get the side out. Back to Kundell for the service. And Gus Pereira lined up for the spike, ended up trying to do something underhand there at the net. And whistled for the violation. Milford getting a little sloppy here in the late stages after they look to have this set in hand. And down the line for Gus Da Silva, who's really been locked in this set. So just 2 points left now for Milford. They'll look to get it done on Eston LeBron's serve. Push to the front. Return for Abreu. And they rule too many touches on the Milford side. So a very quick side out for the Red Hawks. Milford lead down to 6. Abreu getting a huge ricochet that goes out of play on the near side to set up set point chances now for the Scarlet Hawks. With Gus on serve, looking to close it out. A soft serve for Da Silva. Moffitt will set it for Morera. Gets a deflection, playable still for the Red Hawks. Now Moffitt, good hands. Punched, LeBron gets a hand on it. Abreu, that one just misses the roof. And Gus Da Silva with a calm return. Extended rally. Milford was calling that ball out. De Silva didn't want to take the chance. The original call looked like it was leaning towards a Barnstable point. They're going to say that Barnstable deflected that ball on the way out. Their coaching staff right there to argue. And right now the call is point for Milford, which will end the set. The Barnstable coaching staff irate, but Milford will take it 25-17 as they win this opening set in this non-conference matchup. So we'll take a quick pause here in between sets as we bring it to you live from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth. Stay tuned to this coverage of Milford High School varsity boys volleyball here on Milford TV. It's presented by the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. Second set action getting underway now here in the Milford gym. The Scarlet Hawks versus the Red Hawks. Milford grabbing the first set, and they'll take the first point here in set number 2. Our presenting sponsor for Scarlet Hawks Athletics is the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. They will be honoring nurses and first responders coming up on Monday, May 18th at both their Hudson and Milford locations. Nurses, police officers, EMTs, first responders, as a thank you, can receive a free entree or small flatbread for dine-in service at either of the Rail Trail locations. Just a great way for Rail Trail to pay it back to all of our first responders working so hard throughout our communities. So just another great promotion by our friends at Rail Trail. They honored teachers last week as well. Great Mother's Day event last weekend as well. So just always tremendous promotions going on over at the Rail Trail Flatbread Company over in Hudson and here in Milford. We really appreciate their partnership and their support of local high school athletics. A 2-1 score now in favor of Natick. They received a fiery speech in between sets from Coach Robles. She was certainly heated at the deflection call. The coaching staff did not see it that way. That gave Milford the definitive point in the first set. Rallied her team together in between sets, so we'll see if that changes the energy level out on the court for Barnstable. Spike attempt, but Moreira was able to get there on the back. Now Abreu with the return. And fed to the outside, rejected by Milford. And Sam Abreu fired up. And so an error on the scoreboard there when I looked up a moment ago. 3-1 Milford, now 4-1 Milford. They had the points reversed there for a moment or two. Eston LeBron serving. Final regular season home game. Certainly meaningful to these seniors as Barnstable has the rejection. Moreira again tracks the ball down on the back. Tremendous athleticism from Mikey. Cross-court bid for De Silva goes just a bit too long, but Milford really showing good athleticism all over the floor so far in this match. Serve from João Pedro Andrade. And the deflection off the hands of Nicholas De Silva goes out of play. Milford controlled the first set from the early points. It was around a 1-point lead for Milford. They led it 9-8, but from there they continued to expand, led by as many as 8. Ended up winning the set by that margin. Opening up a 4-point lead here in this second set. Pushed over softly by Alvarenga and then driven out by Moreira. Alvarenga now serving. Here's Mikey, this time gets the deflection. Nicholas De Silva victimized again. As Milford gets a quick side out, Jude Moffitt now on serve. Good amount of fans on hand for this one tonight. Infraction for Barnstable. They're looking for the explanation. So despite the rallying cry from their coach in between sets, Milford starting to build up a big lead yet again. They team up for the block up front, De Arujo and Abreu. Milford peaking at the right time here late in the season. As there, Mikey Moreira finds the empty spot in the back corner. Takes advantage Lead is 5. Sam Abreu now serving. Coach Mainini's kept the rotation pretty small in this matchup so far. He sending that one too far over the back line. He knew it as soon as he touched it. And so Santos will serve now for Barnstable. Another deflection off the return bid for Mikey. Waits for it again. Looks for that back corner, but this time could not locate. Down to just a 3-point lead for Milford. Set up on the outside, dug out by De Silva. Moreira, he gets rejected, but Abreu gets low, keeps it alive, and now, again, the deflection off that outside spot for Barnstable. It goes out of play, and Milford takes it on a longer rally. Moreira now will serve. Service error leads to a quick side out. At least a couple of Barnstable fans in the crowd here, hoping that the Red Hawks can get back in it, as that ball gets deflected far off into the crowd. If any Barnstable fans have made their way to our live streaming coverage on YouTube, we're happy to have you with us. Kawamaforte with a serve that cannot be returned. Soft spike bid. João Pedro Andrade using his height advantage. Condell serving. LeBron goes to get it. Little flip from Pereira. Nicely done. And now diving plays on the back. Barnstable able to get it just back across the net, but right in the wheelhouse of Gus Pereira, who sends it back down for the kill. Deflection off of LeBron's hands. Milford did what they could, but running out of touches. Lead for Milford at 5. Andrade serving. Soft return for Pereira, and then hammered out of play by Barnstable. Some frustrated reactions. This is not a position that Barnstable has been accustomed to this season. They have rolled through the majority of their season so far. Flip back to Abreu. Got a deflection stays on the court for Brady Kundell, who fires it out of play. (16-9) now the Milford lead. De Silva back on serve. And a held ball called on Barnstable. And you can hear Coach Robles on the sideline. I believe the message to her team was, we're not calling a timeout, so you guys figure it out. Perhaps it was more to do with questioning the call on that held ball. They did eventually have a player go over to question the officials to get an explanation. Call standing. Milford now on top 17-9. Here's Morera, too strong. So Milford now with a 7-point advantage. Pereira looking for the spike. Barnstable able to get a piece. And now a nice stretch from De Silva. And a rangy play for Pereira in there as well. Milford has been flying all over the floor, covering a ton of ground. They whistle that play dead. They award the point to Barnstable. Cuts it to a 6-point margin. The serve now for Charlie Gibson, and he drops in an ace. 2 straight points now for the Red Hawks. Deflection sent out of play by Barnstable. It's the serve back on the Milford side. Jude Moffitt nearly skimming the top of the net as Barnstable can't get it back across. To the outside, handled initially by Gibson, and dropped back down by the Scarlet Hawks. 5 points away now from taking the 2-0 lead. Largest lead in this second set. De Silva not taking any chances with that ball going out of play, and then Mikey Morera again with great placement on the court for the kill. Lead up to 9. As Gibson steps in front, flip over by De Silva, and sent the other way with pace by Guy DeArujo. No return, as Barnstable is quickly running out of time in this second set. Now a 10-point Milford lead. And again, DeArujo, just a wall at the net front, impenetrable. (23-12). Set up for Kundell over the middle. LeBron there. And Abreu. As the deflection goes out of play. And so Milford with set points. Jude Moffett, another great serve down the line, and blocked and driven down by Guy DeRujo for the final point in this second set. Milford executing at top form in this match so far. They take the second set 25-12, and a commanding 2-0 lead for the Milford Scarlet Hawks on top of the Barnstable Red Hawks. We'll take another quick timeout here on the broadcast as we bring it to you live from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth. You're watching coverage of Milford High School boys volleyball here on Milford TV, presented by the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. It is coaches versus cancer night here in the Milford Gym, an annual event that takes place here late in the season. A lot of baked goods on sale out in the lobby, all the proceeds going to help find a cure for cancer. And of course, the last several years, this Coaches versus Cancer night has been dedicated to the memory of the late volleyball icon, Linda Zakili. Coach Mainini getting on the mic before this match. It was a little bit hard to hear right at the start of our broadcast, talking about Coach Zakili, and mentioned that it has been 7 years now since Coach Zakili's passing. Hard to believe. It was 7 years ago we lost just a real shining light here at Milford High School, throughout the athletic community. And we talk about it every year for both girls and boys volleyball, as Linda was equally passionate about both sports, did tremendous work to elevate both sports, not only here in Milford, but across the state. Was an outstanding coach, really cared about all of the kids that she worked with. Was one of the best coaches we ever had the chance to be around. And again, I'm just so fortunate that I've been doing this job long enough that I had an opportunity to interact with Linda on a number of occasions while she was still coaching, both for the boys team and for the girls team late in her career. This game played in her memory. Her legacy still going very strong here at Milford High School and in the game of high school volleyball. And again, this is also the final regular season home game for Milford. The images of all of the seniors on this roster up on the wall. One of the largest senior classes that this volleyball program has had in a number of years, as this had been a young team with a nucleus that stayed here at the varsity level for several seasons, continuing to get better. And will it culminate with a deep playoff run? Milford has already secured their Hockomock League title. And coming into play today, Milford is currently the number 4 in the Division II power rankings, so up towards the top. We should see home volleyball in the early rounds of the playoffs for Milford, but still work to do in the regular season and still work to do in this match as well, as Barnstable with a violation right out of the gate to give Milford the first point. Again, it is Kawamaforte serving first. LeBron will set it up over the middle, and Moreira gets whistled for the violation. We referenced it a little bit in the last set. This is largely uncharted territory for the Redhawks. They opened the season back on March 27th with a 3-1 win against Quincy High School. For their next 11 matches after that game, they would not drop a set. 11 consecutive 3-set sweeps that led into their only loss of the season, which was a 5-setter against Chicopee Comp on May 2nd. And since then, they have won their last 3 straight matches. 2 of those have been sweeps. They played Quincy a second time, who once again was able to get a single set off of Barnstable. So they have, in total, dropped just 5 sets total on the season coming into this match here today. They've dropped the first 2 here on the Milford floor. It's now a 3-2 lead for Milford here in the early points of this third set. And you can read it in the body language of some of these Barnstable players that they're just not used to being on the wrong side of the scoreboard. Keeping things close here to start this third set, with perhaps a little bit of desperation playing on their side. It's 3-all now, with the serve now for João Pedro Andrade. He blasts it out of play. Augusta Silva waiting to serve. Set up to the near side, and the spike for Ian Fernandez. The bench trying to provide an energy boost now for Barnstable. Mateus Alvarenga now serves. Moffat with the dig. Abreu with the return, and good bid for Mateus Alvarenga, but could not guide that back toward a teammate. Milford on top now 5-4. Moffat, a rare service error. He has been terrific behind the service line in this game today. 5-all, quick side out. Gabriel de Aguiar serving for Barnstable. And Barnstable able to outlast. And an extended service game. My apologies. It's Ian Fernandez serving for Barnstable. And awkward off the hands for Moreira. And so certainly feeling an energy shift in the room for the first time in quite a while. Milford right now seeming to be a little bit more passive. Barnstable has ramped up the energy level. And now the deflection from Barnstable goes out of play, gives Milford the side out. And Abreu serving now for Milford. Cundell waits for it. Over to Moreira. He goes down the line for the kill. So good. Seven all now. All the way over on one touch and then swatted down by the big paw of Guy De Araujo. And they end up ruling that for Barnstable. The initial call appeared to be for Milford, so I'm not sure if perhaps he came in contact with the net there. Milford gets a quick side out. And I think our first sighting of the match for Diego Ignacio Santos. Got a lot of playing time in that match against KP and played very well. Jude Moffitt with a Superman dive, kept that ball playable. Milford gets the return. And Cundell, meanwhile, puts an end to it with a hard spike down the near sideline. This is the biggest challenge that Barnstable has presented all match, as De Silva gets it done. Back to the serve specialist, Kawa Maforte. Quick attack. Moreira was ready. De Silva on the outside. And Barnstable sends it right back. Milford deflects it out. A chance now flowing from the Barnstable sideline. Another quick adjustment on the scoreboard. It is 10-9 in favor of the Red Hawks. De Silva slamming that down. Barnstable couldn't adjust. Heston with the serve. And Fernandez drops it in. A little bit more like what we saw in the early stages of the first set, with both teams trading points. Right now the lead continuing to flip back to the Barnstable side. All now on the scoreboard. Milford's last three matches on the season, or last two matches, I should say, will be on the road. On Friday, they will travel out to Western Mass to take on Agawam in what should be a very tough battle. Two very tough opponents to close out the schedule for Milford, Agawam, and then they will travel to Natick to take on the other Red Hawks. I'm sure there has been a time or two in this match that I've slipped up and called Barnstable Natick, as we're used to those Red Hawks coming to town with a little more regularity. So two tough non-conference opponents back-to-back to close out the season, Agawam and Natick. So a big game for Milford here today if they can close out the win, leading at 13-11 right now. Block over the middle by Gus Pereira. Milford with a slim 13-11 lead. Gus De Silva now serving. Fernandez with a lob. Moffitt will set it up for Sam Abreu, who gets the hard deflection. Milford was a much lower seed than we're accustomed to seeing them last year. Ended up playing on the road in their opening round matchup and then came back home to face Taunton after both Milford and Taunton had upsets in their first round matchups. But right now Milford positioning themselves well to have a much better seed. As again we mentioned, they came into action today as the number 4 team in Division 2. Barnstable out of Division 1, so these teams would not match up in the postseason. Timing off just a little bit there with Pereira and Abreu. Only teams better than Milford right now in those power rankings are the 15-2 Westfield Bombers. Wayland, who Milford played just a couple of matches ago, they are 12-2. They're in the number 2 spot. And then Chicopee Comp, who Milford fell to earlier in the season, they are 14-3 in that number 3 position. Milford lead at 16-12 with Jude Moffitt serving. He sends it long. Austin LeBron setting it up for Mikey Morera. Back over on the Barnstable side, and Brady Condell gets the deflection. Barnstable keeping it close, just a 2-point difference on the scoreboard. The Redhawks hoping to force a 4th set as Milford gets some fortunate bounces there between LeBron and Morera. Mikey now a little flick. And Condell again gets the deflection. So down to just a 1-point lead now for Milford. And here's Guy De Arujo. But no, again, making contact with the net. So Milford has failed to connect on a couple of those spike plays with De Arujo. That one leading to a 16-16 tie. And then a service error for the Redhawks. Puts the serve in the hands of Sam Abreu. Condell dropping that in low. Milford tried to save it, but they get called for the held ball. There's only been one timeout in this entire match. It came in the first set. These coaches wanting their teams to problem solve on the court. 17 all here in the third set. They fake the spike play for De Arujo, and instead it's the kill for Morera that gets it done. Ignacio Santos returns to the floor. He'll take over on serve. Milford back in front now, 18-17. Not much separation throughout this third set. Set up again for Kundell. Forces the deflection that goes out of play and leads to an 18-18 tie, tied yet again. Most ties and lead changes we've seen all match happening here in the third. Serve now for Nicholas Da Silva, the senior for Barnstable. And set up again for De Araujo, this time no problem. And so the lead back to Milford. They need 6 more points to claim victory. Back once again to Kawamaforte on serve. Slapped across by Kundell. And a rejection by the Barnstable front. Again leads to a quick side out. Milford has not been able to get a lot of traction in their service games here as this set has gone along. And so now 19 all, coming down to the finish. Milford could not get that ball back over. And so a timeout called by Coach Mainini, the first Milford timeout of the match, as he tries to regroup, as Barnstable has taken a lead here at 20-19. Barnstable looking to avoid what would be just their second loss of the season. This is already only the second time this season that Barnstable has dropped multiple sets in a match. Barnstable comes in as the number 9 team in the Division I power rankings. Last season, they went 15-5 in their regular season. Despite that good record, they ended up getting seeded 26th in Division I. Milford was the 22 seed last season. They were in Division I last season. Milford was now moving down to Division II. But Barnstable had a pretty impressive playoff run last year despite that lower seed. They had to play in the prelims, and they ended up sweeping Lowell Catholic. Then they matched up with the number 7 seed, Cambridge Rindge and Latin, in the round of 32. They scored a big upset. They took down the number 23 seed, St. John's, in the round of 16. Made it all the way to the round of 8, where they eventually bowed out against 2 seed Natick. They've been a very good program. Match tied at 20 now, as Natick is going to run out of touches. That's going to give Milford the lead here. Can they hang on to it? Eston LeBron, the captain, will step behind the service line now. Soft one. And Milford was not ready for it. João Pedro Andrade giving Barnstable the quick side out. Tied again at 21. Critical points here coming up. laser beam from Andrade, but it goes out on the far sideline. Tough time for the service error. Milford back on top. Augusta Silva now serving. And pushed out of play by Charlie Gibson. I beg your pardon, I think that was Wesley Sullivan. Not really sure what the complaint was that initiated from the sideline there. The players making the case to the official. 23-21 Milford. As LeBron sets it for Abreu. Down the line with the kill. Barnstable upset again as I don't know if they felt that ball was out, but clearly in, and all of a sudden now match points for Milford at 24-21. A chance for Augusta Silva to end it. And that will stay on the Barnstable side of the net. And that will do it. 25-21, a much more competitive third set. But Milford gets the job done here against a top non-conference competitor. Barnstable coming in with just one loss on the season, but they will leave here with two as Milford sweeps the Barnstable Redhawks here tonight. 3-0 the final score. So with the win, Milford improves to 12-5 now on the season. A big victory to help continue to keep them in good positioning in the power rankings here down the stretch of this regular season. And Barnstable, with that loss, they fall to 15-2. So again, as we mentioned, road work here to close out the season for the Scarlet Hawks against top-notch competition. Agawam on Friday and then Natick next week. And so we certainly wish Milford the best of luck as they close out their regular season. We certainly expect some home playoff games coming up for this boys volleyball team, which means you can expect that playoff coverage to appear here on Milford TV. We expect that boys lacrosse will have some home playoff action as well coming up in the MIAA tournament. But we're not quite finished with the regular season yet. We're going to keep a watchful eye on the weather on Friday as our next coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV, we hope, will be on Friday night with the Milford baseball team taking on their Natick counterparts with right now a scheduled start time at 7 p.m. There's some rain in the forecast. It's been kind of fluctuating throughout the week, so we will keep an eye on it for Friday, and if we have to make any changes to the schedule, we'll certainly let you know across our social media platforms. But that's going to wrap things up here for tonight's coverage. A big thank you to our Milford TV crew bringing you this coverage here tonight. Our director for the game is Jack Andrade. Our camera operator is Patrick Garapi, and I am Tim Coet, bringing you all of the action live from our Rentschler Biopharma broadcast booth. That final score, one final time, Milford with the 3-set sweep over Barnstable. This has been a presentation of Scarlet Hawks Athletics here on Milford TV, presented by the Rail Trail Flatbread Company. So long, everybody.